Hi, welcome to Opera Happy Hour. My name is Jeremy Frank. I'm the Associate Chorus Master at LA Opera, and I'm so happy to welcome you back for episode 6 of this web series. If you've seen some of the previous episodes, you know that over the last few weeks, I took a little time to get some new equipment and to work on making some very big technical improvements. I'm thrilled about how it all has turned out, and I'm really excited to show you. If you've never seen the series before, each episode is centered around a theme that serves as a vehicle to help us explore the operatic repertoire. It also serves as an excuse for me to make a drink pairing with our theme. Tonight, we'll be exploring operatic murder mysteries by learning about two of the most beloved operas ever written: Verdi's Rigoletto, written in 1851, and Carmen, which we started to explore in our last episode, written by Georges Bizet. Last time, we talked about how Bizet used dance to musically depict characters, but there's a whole lot more to that story that I can't wait to show you about. For tonight's drink, I thought, what goes better with murder and mayhem than a Bloody Mary? Feel free to break out your favorite recipe. I'm not gonna lie, I used a mix, but if you haven't already poured yourself something nice, take a second to do that. And then let's get down to cracking those cases. Cheers. When we take a look at the most popular pieces in the operatic canon, death seems to be everywhere. Whether it's illness or suicide or murder, one of the main characters always seems to meet an untimely demise. Though neither of our pieces tonight is strictly a murder mystery, they both share the 5 essential elements that authors use in crafting a mystery. Verdi and Bizet's depiction of characters, setting, and plot, and their presentation of conflict and its resolution create suspense and drama worthy of Agatha Christie, but it's set to world-class music. And just like your favorite mystery novel, if you know what you're looking for, the clues to solve the case were there right in front of you all along. We start Act 1 of Rigoletto in the court of the Duke of Mantua. Last episode, we talked about Don Giovanni and what a womanizing jerk he is. And here, the Duke is exactly the same kind of guy. He loves to carouse, he loves to steal other guys' girlfriends and wives. The opera opens on a party the Duke is throwing, full of the members of his court, both the women who were his conquests and their husbands. There is also a court jester named Rigoletto, a physically, and one could also say spiritually, deformed henchman who makes his living by mocking the cuckolded men of the court. You can guess that no one likes him very much. At this party, we observe the Duke trying to seduce yet another woman, when suddenly the party is interrupted in grand opera style. Monterone comes on the scene. He's an older gentleman, and his daughter has also been seduced by the Duke. Monterone forcefully and publicly rebukes the Duke. The Duke, outraged that anyone dare to question his absolute authority, has Monterone arrested and sentenced to death. Rigoletto, true to form, mercilessly makes fun of him in front of all the other guests. Monterone, with nothing left to lose, invokes God and curses both the Duke and Rigoletto. Now, the Duke couldn't care less about this curse, but this omen shakes Rigoletto to his very core. He fearfully leaves the party. On his way home, he encounters Sparafucile, Mantua's local hitman. The two of them have a very seedy conversation about what Sparafucile could do for Rigoletto, and though Rigoletto doesn't plan to take a hit out on anybody just at the moment, he mentally stores his number, so to speak, just in case he should need him in the future. When Rigoletto finally gets home, we meet a beautiful young woman named Gilda, and the two of them joyfully embrace. If you're thinking to yourself, now wait a minute, Jeremy, you said Rigoletto is physically deformed. What is he doing with the hottest babe in all of Mantua? You're not alone. In fact, most of the population of Mantua assumes that she is his secret mistress. But if you want to know who she really is, you only have to listen to the first three words they sing together. Figlia mio padre. That's right, she's his daughter. Rigoletto's wife, her mother, died when she was very young, and Rigoletto shipped her off to a convent to be raised. Now that she's fully grown, she's back in town. One of Rigoletto's biggest fears is that the Duke will learn of Gilda's existence and that he'll seduce her as his next conquest. Little does he know that the Duke has already spied Gilda. Worse still, she has seen him too, stealing glances at her on her way to church. Rigoletto also doesn't know that after the party, the Duke actually followed him home to try to get a few minutes alone with Gilda. The Duke makes some noise outside the courtyard of Rigoletto's home in order to draw Rigoletto out, and then the Duke sneaks in and steals a few moments away alone with Gilda. He assumes a false name and identity, calling himself Gualtier Malde, or in English loosely translated, Walter Malde. Now, no offense to any Walters out there, but in my experience, Walter is maybe not the sexiest sounding name that you've ever heard. The Duke professes to be a poor student, and Gilda, being raised by nuns, is so naive that she misses a lot of red flags and immediately falls in love with this Walter guy. After a few minutes, the Duke leaves, and Gilda sings a beautiful aria called Caro Nome, or Dearest Name, meaning that she thinks his name is the most beautiful sound she's ever heard, kind of like West Side Story. So, hey there, Walters of the world. Things are starting to look up. Anyway, Verdi shows us how in love and enamored Gilda is, and how breathless this makes her feel, by chopping up what should otherwise be a beautiful legato melody with a series of rests between each syllable of almost every word. It's this beautiful musical and dramatic effect, and a truly beautiful aria. I'd like to sing the first part of it for you now. Apologies to those of you with perfect pitch. I've moved the key to fit my own breathless and enamored voice. And in this key, it sounds something like this. Festi primo palpitar le delizie dell'amor mi dei sempre rammentar col pensier il mio desirate sempre volerai fin l'ultimo sospir caro nome tuo sarà. Literally, as soon as Gilda finishes singing that beautiful aria, she's abducted by male members of the court who think they're repaying Rigoletto for making fun of all of them when the Duke defiles their ladies. Their plan is to take Gilda directly to the Duke. Rigoletto's biggest fear has come true. When Gilda arrives at the Duke's palace later that night, he seduces and assaults her. Toward the end of Act 2, Rigoletto eventually tracks his daughter down, and she tearfully tells her dad what happened. Even though she's been assaulted, she still feels a great deal of love for the Duke. Rigoletto is heartbroken and furious, and that's where we end Act 2. Now, this is where the murder mystery starts to get really interesting. A little time has passed, like a few nights, and the action of Act 3 starts in an inn owned by Sparafucile, the hitman that we met in Act 1, and his sister and accomplice, Maddalena, and they're on the outskirts of Mantua. The Duke has disguised himself and is out to make another conquest, and he's definitely carousing. He orders a room and some wine at the inn, and after he's gotten those things, we hear him sing one of the most famous opera arias of all time. In this song, La Donna è mobile, he's projecting more than a little bit. He claims that women are fickle and that they are as faithful as the wind. But really, he's making excuses to pursue whatever lady he likes at any given moment. Maddalena finds the song and the Duke charming and is all too happy to let him woo her next. You will undoubtedly know this aria, so please feel free to sing along.
La donna è mobile, qual piuma al vento, muta d'accento e di pensiero, sempre un amabile, leggiadro viso, in pianto in viso e menzognero. La donna è mobile, qual piuma al vento, muta d'accento e di pensier, e di pensier, e di pensier.
As the Duke continues to flirt with Maddalena, Sparafucile returns home to his inn and runs into Rigoletto and Gilda outside. Now, you need to know that Rigoletto forced Gilda to come tail the Duke to see him be smarmy with other ladies so that she will get over him for once and for all. Gilda tearfully watches the Duke's new seduction, and Rigoletto tells her to ride off that very night to Verona, where she will be safe. In order to ensure that she, a beautiful young woman, doesn't fall prey to criminals traveling in the middle of the night, he tells her to dress in men's boots and a cloak. As soon as she leaves, Rigoletto engages Sparafucile, taking a hit out on the Duke. The deal is to pay half up front and half after the killing. Rigoletto insists that he wants to collect the body of the Duke himself so that he can throw his cold, lifeless body into the river and finally get his revenge. Sparafucile goes inside and realizes that the Duke is the only guest in his inn and that this is going to be one of the easiest hits he's ever made. Maddalena, though, has been charmed by the Duke, and she asks her brother to spare his life. She says, "Now look, don't kill him. I know Rigoletto wants the Duke's body so that he can throw him into the river. But instead of killing him specifically, we can just give Rigoletto any dead body, like the next person who comes to the inn. And we'll put that body in a gunny sack, and then he'll have a body to throw into the river, and we'll be all done with it." That needs a drink. So, A huge storm erupts, and Verdi writes orchestral music that is all gloom and doom. During the increasing tumult, a person knocks on the inn's door, and we hear muffled screams and a stab. Rigoletto, hearing that the deed is done, comes to collect the body. Sparafucile leaves Rigoletto with the corpse, and Rigoletto sings this tiny little excerpt about how he has finally gotten revenge. It's sort of creepy. It sounds like this.
And now the moment of vengeance has come. The water will be his grave. A guinea sack will be his casket. To the river, to the river.
And here's the twist.
La donna è mobile, qual piuma al vento, muta d'accento e di pensiero.
Apparently, the Duke is still very much alive and still able to sing his carousing song. Rigoletto panics and takes the guinea sack off of his victim. It turns out it is Gilda, who overheard Maddalena and Sparafucile's scheme to do a switcheroo, and it is she who decided not to travel to Verona, but to stay and sacrifice herself to save the Duke. Dying, she sings a loving farewell to her father, and Rigoletto the opera ends in profound tragedy. Now, that's an emotional and highly compelling story, but Rigoletto is a timeless masterpiece because it presents an even bigger moral mystery. Namely, who is really responsible for Gilda's death? There are 4 suspects. Is it Sparafucile, who mortally wounds her? Is it Monterone, whose curse sets this tragedy in motion? Is it the Duke, who treats people, men and women alike, like expendable objects and puts himself in front of everyone else? Or is it Rigoletto himself, who, wanting to protect Gilda from the corrupt world without being able to remove himself from it, ultimately loses her to it? This higher level mystery, like all truly great mysteries, will remain forever unsolved. In the last episode, we explored how Georges Bizet uses dance to depict character in his opera Carmen. Today, I thought we'd go one step farther and look at how Bizet writes music to depict fate and murder. Right from the very beginning of the prelude of Act 1, there are 2 important musical themes that you'll need to recognize that foreshadow the murderous drama. The first theme is the raucous, party-like energy of the bullfighting ring. As I play it, you can just imagine the summer heat, the toreador in his cape, and the roar of the crowd. I'll play that music first, and then, after a pause, I'll jump to a tune known as the Fate theme. Bizet uses this melody to depict Carmen's fate and her obsession with fate. If you're thinking to yourself, is that a leitmotif like we talked about in episode 2? The answer is unequivocally yes. This tune appears right before the first time we hear Carmen sing and continues during major dramatic moments right up to the final seconds of the opera. These 2 themes sound something like this. One of the biggest clues to the mystery of Carmen actually doesn't appear in any of the musical or dramatic texts of the opera. Rather, it comes from the original source material, which was a novella written by Prosper Mérimée in the 1840s, and which was serialized in a newspaper. In the third part of that work, we meet most of the characters we recognize in the opera Carmen, but we learn way more about them. In the book, for instance, Don José is a Basque nobleman, but he's gotten into trouble before. In fact, he's killed a guy and has had to leave his hometown in disgrace. We also learn that though Carmen seduces and manipulates Don José, she is actually a married woman. In the book, when her Romani husband comes to join the troupe to smuggle goods, José kills him in a fit of jealousy. Now, we opera lovers never explicitly see that murderous side of José, but if the tenor playing him is truly excellent, you'll get the sense that he's a loose cannon who should be closely watched. Over the course of the opera, Carmen and her Bohemian friends read the tarot cards, and Carmen learns not only that she will die, but that she will die at José's hand. She tries to leave José and twist free from her fate by starting an affair with the toreador Escamillo. By the way, you'll recognize the toreador by ear. He's the guy who sings Toreador, garde, toreador, toreador. Now, you're about to hear that same song in the excerpt that I'll play now, but in a much different context. As we near the end of the opera, José comes to confront Carmen about her new lover, who she has come to cheer on at the bullfighting ring. She and her friends are about to go into the stadium, and they warn Carmen that she shouldn't talk to José alone. But she says that she's not afraid of what fate might hold for her. Everyone else goes in and leaves the two of them behind. It's honestly hard to tell if it's more dangerous inside or outside of the bullfighting ring. I've truncated this musical scene in several places just so that you can kind of get the gist of it. And of course, the silly English translation that I'm about to sing is my own. But when you hear this music in the context of the opera, this is a totally unsettling scene to watch. We witness José completely lose control and turn into a murderous beast. And somehow, even in the face of that, Carmen stays true to herself, and she is remarkably brave.
You don't love me anymore. You don't love me anymore. No, I don't love you. But Carmen, I still love you. Oh, Carmen, I adore you. Ah, do not leave me, my Carmen. Ah, do not leave me. Carmen was born free, and free she will die.
One of the most jarring musical features of this scene is that in the background, the bullfight continues to go on, and we hear the crowd cheering and singing along with tunes that we heard all the way back to the overture that I played for you a few minutes ago. There's this tremendous clash between the normalcy of what's happening inside the arena and the dysfunction of what's happening outside. Things get more and more charged until finally there's a point of no return.
So I'm going to lose my salvation because of you? So that you can run to his arms and laugh at me? On my grave you won't go. You're coming with me. No, no, never. I'm tired of threatening you. Then fine, strike me dead or let me pass. For the very last time, demon, you'll come with me. No, no. Take back this ring that you once gave me. And he strikes her dead. Oui, songe en combattant, canaille noire te regarde, et que l'amour t'attend, toréador, l'amour t'attend. You can take me away. I have killed my beloved.
If Carmen, like Rigoletto, has a mystery at the moral level, perhaps it's whether fate is something that happens to Carmen or if she somehow actively chooses her fate. Either way, as we say in opera, it's all fun and games until somebody gets stabbed and their dead, lifeless body gets dumped into a river. I hope that you've enjoyed checking out these two operatic murder mysteries. I hope you'll join me again for the next episode, which will air 2 weeks from today on June 2nd. The theme that day will be Verismo opera, which is a special style of opera, and how it is exactly like a reality TV show. So you can expect an especially trashy drink pairing for that one. If you haven't had an opportunity to check out LA Opera's Relief Fund, please do. If you're at all able, please consider making a donation. That fund goes directly to supporting artists, stagehands, and crew who find themselves out of work because of the cancellations due to COVID-19. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay happy, and cheers.